Have you ever tried to force someone to do something? Maybe you tried to argue them into seeing your point of view, or maybe you tried to push them into a decision. How did that work out? Today, we're going to explore a timeless story, one of Aesop's fables, that holds a powerful lesson about influence, persuasion, and the true nature of strength. It's the story of the north wind and the sun. Once upon a time, high above the world, the north wind and the sun were having a heated argument. The north wind, full of bluster and pride, boomed, "I am the strongest force in the world. When I blow, trees bend to my will, and mighty oceans churn. Nothing can stand against me." The sun, calm and radiant, simply replied, "Strength is not always about force, my friend. There are other ways to be powerful." Their debate raged on, echoing through the clouds, until they spotted a lone figure walking along a winding road far below. It was a traveler, wrapped snugly in a thick, warm cloak to shield himself from the chill in the air. Seeing this traveler gave the sun an idea. "Enough of this empty talk," the sun proposed, a golden glint in its eye. "Let's put our strength to a real test. Whichever one of us can make that traveler take off his cloak will be declared the stronger. What do you say?" The north wind, always eager for a challenge and supremely confident in his raw power, readily agreed. "A simple task," he growled. "Prepare to be humbled. I will go first." And with that, the north wind gathered all his might. He took a deep, icy breath and unleashed a furious, howling blast down upon the unsuspecting traveler. The wind shrieked and roared, whipping the ends of the traveler's cloak around him like frantic flags. The man staggered for a moment, surprised by the sudden assault. But did he take the cloak off? No, he did the exact opposite. He clutched the fabric tighter, pulling it close around his body and hunching his shoulders against the piercing cold. This only infuriated the north wind. "You will yield to me," he bellowed, and he blew even harder. He sent gust after gust of frigid air, tearing at the man's cloak. He tried to rip it from his shoulders, to peel it away with his icy fingers. The wind was so strong that dust and leaves swirled into a frenzy, making it difficult for the traveler to even see the road ahead. The man just lowered his head, wrapped his arms around himself, and held on to his cloak for dear life. The colder and more violently the north wind blew, the more determined the traveler became to keep his source of warmth. He wasn't just wearing the cloak anymore. He was battling to keep it. The north wind exhausted himself, throwing everything he had at the man, but it was no use. The cloak remained firmly in place. Finally, defeated and out of breath, the north wind gave up. He receded with a final angry sigh, admitting he could not do it. Then it was the sun's turn. The sun didn't rush. It didn't boast. It simply began to shine. At first, its rays were gentle and mild, like a soft, comforting touch. After the bitter cold of the north wind's attack, this pleasant warmth was a welcome relief. The traveler let out a sigh of his own, a sigh of comfort. He straightened up, the tension leaving his shoulders. Feeling the gentle heat on his back, he unfastened the clasp of his cloak, letting it hang loosely. The immediate danger had passed, and he no longer needed to fight to stay warm. But the sun was just getting started. Slowly, steadily, it increased its intensity. The gentle rays grew warmer, then warmer still, until they became hot. The air grew still and balmy. The traveler, who had just been shivering, now began to feel a bit too cozy. He took off his cap and used a handkerchief to mop the beads of sweat from his brow. The warmth was no longer just pleasant. It was becoming pervasive. The heavy wool of his cloak started to feel oppressive, like a heavy blanket on a summer's day. The sun continued to pour down its golden, blazing heat. The traveler fanned himself with his cap. He looked around for some relief. The road ahead shimmered in the heat. Finally, he couldn't stand it any longer. He was so overheated that keeping the cloak on was simply unbearable. With a grunt of effort, he pulled the heavy garment completely off his shoulders. He looked around and spotted a large, leafy tree by the side of the road, offering a patch of cool, inviting shade. He quickly made his way over, threw his cloak on the ground, and sat down to escape the sun's powerful, blazing rays. High above, the sun beamed, not with arrogance, but with quiet satisfaction. The north wind watched in silent disbelief. He had used all his force, all his fury, and had failed. The sun, however, had succeeded without a single gust of wind or angry roar. It had achieved its goal not by fighting the traveler, but by changing the environment around him, making him want to take the cloak off himself. So, what's the real takeaway here? The moral of the story is often stated as gentleness and kind persuasion win where force and bluster fail. And that's absolutely true. The north wind represents force, aggression, and trying to compel someone to do what you want. The sun represents a different kind of power, persuasion, influence, and gentle encouragement. Think about it in your own life. When someone tries to force you into something, what's your first instinct? It's usually to resist, to dig in your heels, just like the traveler clutching his cloak. We have a natural resistance to being pushed around. But when someone persuades us, when they create a situation where we want to make the change ourselves, the result is completely different. The sun didn't fight the man for his cloak. It simply made him feel so warm that taking it off became his own idea, the most logical and comfortable thing to do. This is the art of true influence. It's not about winning an argument or overpowering someone. It's about understanding their needs and motivations. The traveler needed to be warm, so the wind's cold made him hold on. Then he needed to be cool, so the sun's warmth made him let go. This principle applies everywhere. In leadership, the best leaders don't rule by fear. They inspire their teams, creating an environment where people are motivated to do their best work. In parenting, yelling and demanding often lead to rebellion, while patient guidance and understanding help children learn and grow. In our friendships and relationships, trying to force someone to change is a recipe for disaster. But offering support, kindness, and creating a safe space for them can inspire incredible transformation. The story teaches us that true strength isn't about how loud you can shout or how hard you can push. It's about wisdom, patience, and understanding human nature. It's about being the sun, not the wind. It's about creating warmth, not a storm. So the next time you find yourself in a conflict, the next time you want to influence a situation, take a moment to pause. Ask yourself, am I being the north wind right now? Am I trying to force the issue? And if so, how can I be more like the sun? How can I use warmth, kindness, and gentle persuasion to achieve a better outcome for everyone involved? Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply to shine. Thanks for watching today. I hope this little story gave you something to think about. If you enjoyed this video and want more stories with life lessons, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments which one you think you are more often, the north wind or the sun. See you in the next one.